This week's parsha is Parshat Emor, and at the end of the parsha, we discuss the Chagim. And in between Pesach and Shavuot, we actually talk about the Omer. Now, what the Omer is actually on the second day of Pesach, we bring the Korban Omer, which is a barley offering. And at that point, that begins the process of counting towards the Omer, 50 days until we hit Shavuot. And on Shavuot, we bring the Shtei HaLechem, which is a chametz offering. It's made out of wheat. Now, what is the relationship between the Omer offering, which is barley, and the Shtei HaLechem, which is wheat, and brought on Shavuot? What's the relationship between these two? Now, there are obviously many answers to this question, but I'd like to introduce one that's introduced by Rav Bernstein, and that he's quoting Rav Shlomo Fisher Shlita. So he says like this: barley is animal food generally, and wheat, right? The korban we bring on Shavuot, the Shtei HaLechem, is generally reserved for human consumption. And so we see the barley offering that we bring at the beginning of the Omer count, right, on the second day of Pesach. The point of that is to show that we're straight out of Egypt, right? We're newly freed slaves, and therefore we're kind of in this like animal state, this undeveloped state, this raw state, and we're trying to move through this whole process until we hit Shavuot of refining ourselves and becoming more intellectually aware and to be more in control, to develop our midot, until we can finally reach Shavuot and then get the human food, right? The Shtei HaLechem, chametz, it's wheat, and that's what we're looking to move towards. And that's an important lesson. However, Rav Shlomo Fisher takes it further, and he says, well, if that's true, then the actual language of the counting of the Omer is very strange. Now, what do we mean? If we're to actually look at the language, what does it say? It says, Hayom shlosha yomim la Omer, or Hayom shlosha yomim ba Omer. But we don't say Hayom shlosha yomim meha Omer. That's what we should say. If we're actually trying to move away from this kind of status as an animal, of this animal food, then that's what the Girsa should say. The way we should count is not ba Omer or la Omer, it should be meha Omer. We're 3 days from the Omer because we're trying to move away from that. That's what it should say. But we don't say that. Why? Why don't we count away from the Omer? Instead, we seem to kind of incorporate this counting. We don't want to move away. And Rav Shlomo Fisher says like this. He says, actually, there's an important lesson here. And that is, we actually do not want to move away fully from that animal connection. And the reason why is because that animal relationship, that animal personality, I guess, we have is one of emotion, of loyalty, and it's unquestioned loyalty because they're animals, right? They don't really know to start like calculating and thinking, is this good for me? Is this not good for me? And the problem is, if we're really to see it like that, like, look, this is a kind of animal connection. It's emotional. We're just trying to move towards Shavuot, which we're trying to develop our intellect. Well, the thing is, humans, right? We're trying to develop that human side of us. Humans can tend to be calculating, they can be distant, they can be cold and reserved, and that's really not the kind of relationship we're looking to build on when we finally get to Shavuot and to Matan Torah. And so says Rav Shlomo Fisher, really we're actually not trying to move away from that animal part of us, that animal part of our personality. We want to build on it. And that's why we don't count Meha Omer. We count La Omer. We count Ba Omer, because we're trying to incorporate that part of our relationship into our connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that's going to, I guess, culminate at Shavuot. Again, to reiterate, we start off in an animal state, and we're actually trying to build on that state. We want to use that emotional connection and then kind of hone it and channel it through our intellects. And that's what we're working on. That's the process of the counting of the Omer until we get to Shavuot. We want to take that animal part of ourselves, that emotional part of ourselves, and then use our intellects to hone it and to refine it until we can finally get to Shavuot where we're bringing the wheat offering. That's part of the message of the Omer. Shabbat Shalom.